I'm just going to show you a few things on, basically it's linked a little bit to the debate, to what we are going to debate later, but it's on the lines of how technology is used on some of our structures which are not mainstream structures. I'll just show you a few snippets of those images. So you can just share that. So again, how technology and tradition sort of, it's basically more of a yin and yang. At least 5 minutes earlier, I would have said that before all this technological issue came up. But technology and tradition go hand in hand. And technology is something which over a period of time will become tradition. Also, technology is something which you'll have a lot to choose from. And a part of it which is actually selected, technology is like a startup in the market. And once it establishes itself, it becomes tradition, and tradition is a blue chip in the market. So that's how you can equate the two to it. This is just a little saying that what I've been experiencing in construction over the last 20 years, this is there for a very long time, that construction is now becoming less of a craft. It's becoming something which is more industry-made, and it is more industry-dictated also. One of the projects that I'm showing you is a clubhouse that we've done for a scheme on the outskirts of Pune. The residential scheme was going to be high-rise, and it's going to be built over a period of time. But there was something we had to build which would, create an ambience, which would experience what the future would be for the people who stay there. And this clubhouse was built something as a ground G+1 structure with low walls, roofs sloping down, and giving a feel of a bygone area where you could just lounge on a chair in the courtyards and sit out. So this is the ambience of the clubhouse. The clubhouse in the bottom right corner, looking out over an open green, a golf course, and the building surrounding it. But the feel was to create this element that could be distinguishing from all the others that would be built over a period of time. So this is how this sits into the landscape. It sort of nestles into it. This is another building that we did. This is the building that we got. We had to rehabilitate the existing building, sort of refurbish it and integrate it into a functioning, it was a factory. And while we were constructing over it, besides it, and next to it, the functioning of this building would not have stopped. So this is what we managed to build over it and around it over a period of time. And it's the Crone Marshall building. It's in Pune only, where we use a lot of technology, to create a facade that could seamlessly integrate the built and the future to be built. Now also we are going to do an expansion to this building already. It was built for the future, for the next 20 years, but within 5 years we have to build another expansion to it. So again, this is how the structure was when we took it over. And this is how we sort of created a language, a vocabulary to link it up, to create something which is both unique and as well as subtle. And using a mix of both tradition and technology, traditional approach and technology as a design solution. This is a campus that we are doing in Bangalore. This is the academic part of it, Azim Premji University. Again, traditional courtyards with a functional building in it, linked by academic areas. So okay, this part is habited, and the other parts to the right are currently under construction. But again, the scale and the approach to it is traditional, but the outlook is derived with technology. This is another institute that we finished a couple of years ago in Wardha. We've done a lot of work in Wardha where tradition is required both from the construction point of view as well as from the place where it is located. And these are the scales and the elements that we sort of try to create into this institute. So it's a very traditional form, interpreted modern. Again, it's the basics of architecture that have created this sort of interesting structure, scale, volume, minimalistic materials, and a limited bit of standardization, especially in the RCC walls, in the ceiling, in the modular spaces. A couple of buildings we are doing in College of Engineering, Pune. This is the building, what it was like when we took it over. And this is how we're going to do it. Using the same material vocabulary, the same language, but giving it completely a modern context and integrating it with the campus and the master plan of it. This is again, it was a ground story structure with a large room, and we had completely, leaving the external walls existing, we had to build over it, add a floor, and create a new skeleton inside it. That's been done in steel and deck slab, and the supporting, the walls are still retained and added onto. So this is the structure, how it will look on completion. That was for the mechanical department, and this is for the civil department. Currently, the way the building is right now, it's a functional building, and post sort of an overhaul using the same footprint, the same vocabulary, this is how it will become. And so that is how you're merging both tradition in the way the buildings are, and trying to create with technology what the future is going to be, and making these buildings, which are almost 50 to 60 years old, last the next generation and two. This is just another quote that I've been trying to tell people, that believing that whatever is, we believe in this concept of luxury, but luxury is something which was beauty, and now we are trying to resell it in the garb of luxury to people. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Choksi. That was some really interesting projects.
Point ahead, Daraius, you've been associated with CCBA since 1999, I guess. And it's been a long journey, and we've all witnessed Christopher Sir's works right from the earliest. So he has adopted the Indianness of buildings, the tradition that we have been used to in the buildings, from the mandalas to the courtyards to the architectural vocabulary. But your firm has also worked across the globe. So you have now projects in Bhutan, of course, which is very similar to the context that we are in, but you are also building in China. So has technology helped you in a way to move from one region to the other, from the system-wise and also from design perspectives?
Yes, to a very large extent. Technology helps us understand the tradition of the space. It is very important that when you go to a different culture, you try to assimilate that into the design, and you don't try to impose yourself on that space. And that's a very expansive process. It can take years, decades, but it's also, technology helps us get it much faster. Obviously, you have the internet now. 15 years ago, when Bhutan started in 2001, there was no way we could get to know what Bhutanese culture was except through some books, and that to going to a library and getting books. Today, you have it on your phone, you can see it on the net, you can do it on Discovery. There are 100 ways of seeing it and trying to get to it. But the other important thing is, culture is vast. You cannot take all the things into it. You should have the ability to pick up what is correct, what is the good part of tradition, and take it ahead. Because that vision should also be there, that that part of tradition will last into the future. So those things are what I've learned in the studio, essentially, over the past 20 plus years. And there is never a stop to it. You can never stop learning both either the tradition or styles or how it works out. So it's very important that the thread is important, and it's a chain that keeps on flowing from one room to another, and the doors automatically open up when you move.
But there's a very interesting point that you've raised, is you carry a few things which you feel are going to last for the next decades or whatever time the building is going to be there. the buildings that we have witnessed all these years have always stayed there. Arjun was probably mentioning in the panel that it is as long as the building lasts, it's the most sustainable model to have. So are we designing for that kind of a future lifestyle of buildings, or we now have settled down upon 30, 40 years or 25 years is something that we be focusing upon?
No, you would have to design for the future. You would have to design for whatever time the building lasts. Obviously, you cannot plan for the future. 20 years ago, you would have said the building will last 100 years, no issue at all. Now also we say that the building would last 100 years, but we don't know what the future is, how technology is. One of the discussions we were having with a client is when we signed the contract with them, there was no Wi-Fi technology. Then Wi-Fi technology has come into the design, it's become an integral part of the design, and the consultants were, but when we signed the contract, it was not there. Now, how do we incorporate it into it? So who's going to bear the cost of us putting this new technology into the building? So those sort of things are there that you have to sort of plan for the future, but reference the past. That's a very sort of a balanced way of taking it out ahead.